All right, we are live. It is a Sunday morning. Wow, I am tired here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome out, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the end of week 3 in the Twitch Battle League. We have a great matchup for you here. We have the Palatown Paladins going up against the Boston Regirock. And this one is going to be a very interesting match here, ladies and gentlemen, because they are very deadlocked in the Violet Conference. The Violet Conference has been pretty straightforward so far this league. They have not had much of an issue with wins or losses. They've more had an issue with those points, because the points are the points are the points are the points. And these two teams are currently perfectly tied. The only difference with them is the record or differential, which after this matchup, one of them will definitely have the head-to-head matchup, which is one of the first tiebreakers between teams in your conference. And let's take a look at our two teams real quick first. We're going to start with the Boston Regirocks. They are coming off of a very, very close 2-0 loss last week to the Canadian Ceruledges. And they are rocking a team of Keldeo, Zebstrika, Terapagos, Regular Wheezing, Enamorous Incarnate, Hydreigon, Chinchino, Jirachi, Bramblegast, and Rhyperior. And because they have a S-tier Pokemon, they have to go with only 2 Terra Captains, in this case being the Rhyperior and the Zebstrika. Meanwhile, on the side of the Palatown Paladins, they are coming off of a very close 1-0 win over the Venus Venusaur, and they are rocking a team of Annihilate, Iron Shreds, Incineroar, Alomomola, Glamora, Florges, Mew, Kilowattrel, Ambipom, and Gyarados. And because they do not have an S-tier Pokemon, they have 3 Terra Captains, that being the Ambipom, the Kilowattrel, and the Gyarados. And last week for the Paladins, that Ambipom went absolutely crazy with the Terra Normal, Silk Scarf boosted Fake Outs, and Double Edges, being able to take out Pokemon like that Roaring Moon, the Enamorous Therian, and the Torkoal. At least I believe it was a Torkoal. It might have been the Venus, so I gotta remember that off rip. But their team is naturally terrifying with threats like that Ambipom, which is one of the fastest Pokemon in this game. Iron Shreds with the booster energy can be one of the fastest Pokemon in this game with access to Rapid Spin. Kilowattrel with a base 125 speed. I believe that is the fastest Pokemon on this battlefield naturally. And then you have stuff like Mew, which can literally be a wild card that has any type of moveset that it wants to. Glamora, very nice Pokemon here with access to Corrosion, which will be good for something like the the regular Wheezing, or the Jirachi, being able to poison a poison type or a steel type Pokemon. Florges, very nice Clerics mon alongside Alomomola, with Alomomola being one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game, and access to Recover and Flip Turn, and I believe it still gets access to Scald if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. Annihilate and Incineroar, very strong physical attackers with momentum in the form of U-Turn, or in the case of Incineroar, U-Turn and Parting Shot. And then Gyarados, with Terra and the Dragon Dance ability, it can go off on some of these Pokemon on Finfin's side. Meanwhile, when we look at the Boston Regirocks, their team, very scary on paper, with threats like that Keldeo, with threats like the Terapagos and the Enamorous Incarnate, 3 of the best special attackers in the game, and then you add a 4th in Hydreigon. All 4 of these Pokemon, absolutely scary. With the case of Enamorous and Rhyperior, Zebstrika, and Keldeo, they are some of the fastest Pokemon. Chinchino is also very fast. I believe it has something over base 110, if I remember correctly. The Bramble Gas could be a wild card in this battle because it can naturally resist Ambipom's moves. And if Kilowattrel comes to this battle and it has something like Hurricane or I don't think Air Slash counts for it, but if it has something like Hurricane, Bramble Gas Wind Rider ability will turn that into an immunity and boost its physical attack by 1 stage. The Jirachi can also be pretty scary here with threats like Thunder Wave and Iron Head with the Serene Grace ability being able to basically nullify everything on Fin's team outside of the Iron Treads and the Kilowattrel with that strategy. Weezing could be an interesting Pokemon here with access to Will-O-Wisp that could cripple physical threats like the Ambipom, the Gyarados, the Iron Treads, and the Annihilate. And it doesn't even need to have neutralizing gas either. It could just be a Levitate Mon for something like the Iron Treads. And honestly, Rhyperior looks very interesting in this battle itself because with access to Terastallization, it could go for something like a water-type Terastallization, be good against the Glamora, the Incineroar, and the Iron Treads. And if you have something like the Lightning Rod ability, you have suddenly walled this Kilowattrel as well. And with access to Rock-type moves, Kilowattrel is in a pretty bad position in its own right. So that is something with Rhyperior that you can do. And then Terapagos as the final Pokemon here. It could be something with access to Rapid Spin, especially if Annihilate is off the field, because then you can get Rapid Spin up. You can go for something like Terra Starstorm pretty freely. Access to Earth Power is really nice here with 3 Pokemon naturally weak to ground moves, including a quad weakness in Glamora. Thunderbolt could be something for something like a Gyarados outside of Terastallization. And Enamorus might be the Pokemon, something like a Scarf, Healing Wish said, just to maybe get like a Rhyperior or a Terapagos back up to full health here. But I think that's enough scouting on this match. We're going to let our trainers know that they are good to start this match. And this will be a very fun matchup here, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is going to be interesting as we do see the teams on the screen right now. We do see that for the Boston Regirox, they have brought Jirachi, Zebstrika, Enamorus Incarnate, Hydreigon, Terapagos, and Rhyperior. Meanwhile, on the side of the Palatown Paladins, they brought Kilowattrel, Iron Treads, Annihilate, Florges, Alomomola, and Glamora. So, in terms of the Terra Captains in this battle, the Boston Regirox brought both of their Terra Captains in Zebstrika and Rhyperior. Meanwhile, the Palatown Paladins only bring one of their Terra Captains in Kilowattrel. So it'll be very interesting to see what these two trainers try to do here. But we are going to get into this battle here. One of these trainers is going to advance to 2-1, get a very crucial victory in this Violet Conference here. Will it be the Palatown Paladins or will it be the Boston Regirox? We are going to see Joe leading with his Zebstrika, and Fin is leading with his Annihilate here. So this is a very interesting setup here because Zebstrika naturally is the fastest Pokemon on the field, but this Annihilate is holding the Choice Scarf for its item, which means that this Annihilate would be the fastest Pokemon on the field here. And we're going to see the U-turn as the first move doing just over 40% to the Zebstrika here, giving Finn some interesting knowledge about whether or not it's a bulky Pokemon here, as opposed to something like a physical attacker. And Fin is opting to bring in his Iron Treads here. The Iron Treads carrying that Assault Vest item here. So it gets us 50% special defense boost here at the cost of no status moves here. And Zebstrika just going for a taunt here, trying to taunt the Annihilate potentially. But Annihilate will not be taunted. It goes for the U-turn on this first move here. But now the Zebstrika in a very interesting position here, going for a super effective overheat into this Iron Treads, doing over 60% of its HP, and switching out with the Eject Pack. So instead of Zebstrika being on the field here with -2 special attack, it is going to switch out for free here. But the real question is, what does Joe go into here? It is going to be Flowers. That is the Hydreigon. And Finfin going for a rapid spin here. Get Iron Treads' speed up a little bit here. But more importantly, he just broke the Focus Sash on this Hydreigon. So Hydreigon cannot survive a hit at full HP anymore. But conversely, this Hydreigon also has the Acrobatics move. Now, normally you would want Acrobatics because if you lose your item, it goes from 55 base power to 110 base power. But because Hydreigon did not use its Focus Sash, that Acrobatics will only be 55 base power for the duration of this battle. That is huge for the Palatown Paladins here, especially with this Hydreigon. But now it remains to be seen, what does Finfin try to do here? Does he try to go for damage into this Hydreigon, or does he just sack the Iron Treads? He's going to go for Iron Head here, doing a good amount of damage to this Hydreigon and getting a flinch. A huge flinch there. So now this Hydreigon is under 50% HP, but it couldn't do any damage whatsoever to this Iron Treads. Another Iron Head comes out here, and it will knock out the Hydreigon. Hydreigon is down, and Iron Treads picks up the first KO of this battle. So now it remains to be seen what is going to happen next, because Iron Treads is the fastest Pokemon on the field now, with Zebstrika not having any speed boost here. You could go for something like an Earthquake potentially here, as we're going to see Chocolates come out here, which is the Rhyperior. And very fitting that there is Chocolates in a battle right now after we're talking past Valentine's Day. So Chad, let me know if you did anything special with your significant other for Valentine's Day. And if you didn't, I bet you better have some chocolates. Did you just say chocolates? As we're going to see a switch out here from Iron Treads, trying to avoid the chocolate guy and bringing in the Alomomola here, as Joe is activating his Terra Orb on his Rhyperior, and Rhyperior is going to go into a pure Terra Ground and getting an extra power boost by going into a Terra type of its natural type and going for a Swords Dance here. So this Swords Dance has powered up this Rhyperior immensely. It is now at +2 on its physical attack here. But the real question is whether or not the Alomomola goes for something like a Scald here. But no, Rhyperior is faster than this Alomomola. +2 Terra Ground, Drill Run, critical hit, one hit, knockout. The Alomomola is down. Rhyperior gets a huge KO right there. Oh my Lanta. And now, what is Finfin going to do here? He could go for something like the Annihilate or the Glamora here, which are faster, or he could go into the Iron Treads and the Kilowattrel, which also are faster than Rhyperior. Everything on Finfin's team, outside of the Florges with that lagging tail, are the fastest Pokemon remaining in this battle. But at the same time, Florges, you see it's holding the lagging tail item, which means that it would always go last in its priority bracket unless it gets rid of that item. We're going to see Finfin opt to bring in Stan. He's bringing in that Annihilate here to get some damage here potentially into this Rhyperior, because Rhyperior is in a prime position to go for any move it wants right now. We're going to see U-Turn come out here. It is not resisted by the rock or the ground type, but more importantly, Annihilate switches out here. It really just comes down to what move did Joe go for here with the Rhyperior. If he goes for something like that Drill Run again, then it would probably do no damage if the Kilowattrel is the Pokemon that switches in here. But if he goes for something like a Stone Edge, that would be a one-hit knockout if it lands. We're going to see Iron Treads make an appearance here, and it's just going to be that Drill Run, +2 Terra Ground Drill Run. Iron Treads down for the count. So now Rhyperior down with 2 Pokemon. In comes that Kilowattrel with the heavy duty boots. It does not take any hazard damage if there were hazards on the field, but there are no hazards on the field. So now it remains to be seen, will the terrestrialization be chosen here? Because again, this Rhyperior is in such an advantageous position with the Terra Ground. We're going to see the terrestrialization happen after a switch out here. Joe opting to sacrifice the Rhyperior here for the Zebstrika. Very interesting decision here as Finfin activates his Terra Orb and fires it at the Kilowattrel, turning it from an electric and flying type into a pure ice type here. So this will be a ice type Terra Blast into this Zebstrika here. It'll do neutral damage from an ice type to an electric type, but will it get enough to get the knockout here? The answer is yes. Zebstrika is down, Hydreigon is down, Iron Treads is down, Alomomola is down. This is a 4v4 battle. But it remains to be seen what is going to be the next Pokemon that comes out here for the Boston Regirox here. It's going to be Jewelry, which is the Terrapagos. And Terrapagos activates its Terra Shift ability and turns into its Terrastal form. So now with the Terra Shell ability, the first move that Finfin clicks on this move will be not very effective, but he can go for something like a Volt Switch here, which will break the Terra Shell and more importantly, get this Kilowattrel off the field. It just remains to be seen what this Terrapagos decides to go for here, as it does have access to 4 moves that will do good damage here. And we're going to see Jewelry switch out here and into True Love, which is the Jirachi. And Kilowattrel going for the Volt Switch here, doing just over 20%, maybe 25% of the Jirachi's health, but more importantly, switching out here and allowing Finfin to get something in against this Jirachi. Now, it does have access to the Iron Head and the Zen Headbutt, 2 physical attacking moves with chances to flinch, boosted by the Serene Grace ability. But this Jirachi also has Body Slam to potentially paralyze an opponent on Finfin's side here. Meanwhile, Finfin does have access to this Glamora with super effective Earth Power, but conversely, it is weak to the Iron Head and Zen Headbutts from the Jirachi. And we're going to see it is the Glamora coming out here. And Jirachi getting a little bit of recovery here with its Leftovers. The Leftovers item healing up a little bit of Jirachi and keeping it alive just a little bit longer here. And I wonder if that actually puts it out of range for a Earth Power from this Glamora. Now, Glamora can go for Earth Power somewhat freely here outside of the Enamorous Incarnate here, and Earth Power doing a huge amount of damage. Meanwhile, Zen Headbutt coming out, and it does almost enough to KO the Glamora in one hit, but the Toxic Debris comes out. And Jirachi gets more Leftovers recovery here, but now this Glamora, it is locked in to Earth Power. So if Joe wants to, he can bring something in like this Enamorous Incarnate here for free. And Finn is considering whether or not he wants to bring in something like that Kilowattrel here. Kilowattrel, again, access to Iron Head on the Jirachi could be very interesting here, because you can go for the Iron Head here, and that would be a one-hit knockout into the Kilowattrel now that it terrestrialized here. We're going to see Glamora switch out here and into the Annihilate once again. Meanwhile, Jirachi switches out here, and in comes that Enamorous Incarnate. So Enamorous Incarnate has made an appearance on the field here. This is a very interesting Enamorous Incarnate here with access to Superpower and the Contrary ability, which would be good against everything on Finfin's team, except the fact that this Annihilate with its Ghost typing is completely immune to the Enamorus' superpower. But Enamorus does have access to Play Rough, which is a 90 base power move. It goes for the U-turn Annihilate just to get out against this Enamorus Incarnate here, and also revealing to Fin that the Enamorus is probably not a Choice Scarf variant. But it remains to be seen, what does Fin want to go to here, because the Enamorus Incarnate can go for something, and it's just going to be the Florges here. Florges making an appearance on the field as Play Rough comes out, doing a huge amount of damage with the Life Orb, taking some damage in recoil at the cost of boosting the power of that Play Rough. And now Florges in a very interesting position here. You probably want to get rid of it here, as Ironhead is the move of choice, and it knocks out the Florges. So Florges is down. Fin is down to his final 3 Pokemon here, while the Boston Red Rocks still have their 4. But 2 of them are full health on Fin's side, and the Glimmora is very low HP, and because the Jirachi is still in the back for the Boston Red Rocks, you can't bring something like a Glimmora out here unless you go for something like a Power Gem here, because this Glimmora does not have access to a Poison type move here. But we're going to see the Kilowattrel make an appearance on the field here. Very interesting to bring Kilowattrel out here, but it's in a very good spot. 3 Pokemon will take damage from any of the moves here, and we're going to see Enamorus switch out here into True Love, which is the Jirachi. Just probably going to sack off this Jirachi here with the Terra Blast, Terra Ice from this Kilowattrel. Will it do enough to knock out this Jirachi? No! It does not, and that was a critical hit as well. Jirachi lives the Terra Blast. A huge survival on the Terra Blast there, because now Jirachi may have a shot at switching out here into something like the Rhyperior, which is a ground type and immune. But no, we're just going to see the Jirachi go down here. Joe opting to sacrifice Jirachi. Fin gets to keep Kilowattrel around and bring something in like the Glimmora or the Annihilate in relatively free, except again, this Enamorus is in such an advantageous position. And because both trainers here have 3 Pokemon left, if one Pokemon goes down on either side, by virtue of the TBL rules, a 0-2 or closer loss, they will get 1 point, even though they will lose this battle. Meanwhile, a 3-0 or closer win, they will get 2 points. So it's 2 points for the winner, 1 point for the loser. And now it remains to be seen what will happen here, because Terrapagos, it is just revealed that it is the heavy-duty boost, because there was 1 layer of Toxic Spikes that came out against this Terrapagos. Terra Shell will make this Power Gem not very effective, but it'll break the Terra Shell. And a Dazzling Gleam is the move of choice, knocking out Glimmora. So Glimmora is down, and it is all down to this Annihilate and Kilowattrel, both at full HP. And because the Terrapagos has not gone for a Rapid Spin, the Kilowattrel and the Annihilate will naturally be faster than Terrapagos. But the real question here, though, is where does Fin go here? Because you could bring something like the Annihilate in and go for something like a U-turn, which would be beneficial. But if you go for U-turn, then you could go for something like a Rapid Spin on the side of the Boston Red Rocks, and then you're faster than the Kilowattrel potentially. It all depends on the speed tiers here. We're going to see the Annihilate come out here. Annihilate does have a decent matchup here. With the Terra Shell broken, close combat probably could be a knockout here for the Terrapagos after the Terra Shell break. But because the Enamorus Incarnate is still in the back, you can't safely click close combat just yet. So I wonder if U-turn would be the move of choice here, because if you go for U-turn and Terrapagos goes for the Rapid Spin, it would be faster than this Kilowattrel, presumably, at +1. We're going to see U-turn is the move of choice, doing good damage into Terapagos, but it's going to switch out here. It all comes down to what move did Terapagos choose, and if it was the rapid spin here. We're going to see Kilowattrel come out here. It is just Dazzling Gleam again, doing 140 points of health to this Kilowattrel, just under 50% here. But now the Kilowattrel in a beautiful position with the Terra Ground Rhyperior and the Enamorous Incarnate here. Volt Switch, the move of choice, doing good damage into Terapagos, but bringing it under 50% HP. And now you can bring in the Annihilate here if it goes for the rapid spin here. Now you could go for something like a Dazzling Gleam, but at the same time, you probably don't want to. And it's going to be Earth Power, actually. Earth Power coming out, doing decent damage into this Annihilate. But the Annihilate can still go for something like a Close Combat or a U-turn here. And while Close Combat would be preferred in this situation, Enamorous Incarnate is still in the back, and that is a quad resist on the Close Combat if Annihilate decides to choose that as its move. But if you go for something like a U-turn here, I'm not even sure if Kilowattrel can live a Terra Starstorm. We saw Dazzling Gleam do just under 50% HP there. So I think it's just safe that you go for this. You go for the Close Combat here and knock out the Terapagos, thus guaranteeing that the loser of this battle will get 1 point, while the winner will get 2 points. So that knockout guarantees a 2-0 or closer win and a 2-0 or closer loss. We're going to see the Enamorous come out here again. And Annihilate just has to go for Close Combat here. It has no other option. This is quad resisted, but it still does good damage into this Enamorous Incarnate, bringing it to 50% HP. And Enamorous going for that play rough. It was -2 defense on the Annihilate with the stab and the life form and the super effective. Annihilate goes down. It is down to Kilowattrel against a Rhyperior and an Enamorous Incarnate. Meanwhile, the Kilowattrel does have the super effective move here in Terra Blast on both of these Pokemon. So it remains to be seen what will happen here. We're just going to see Terra Blast is the move of choice here. It's going to knock out this Enamorous. It will be the 2 Terra Captains duking it out to determine who wins this battle. Will it be Rhyperior or will it be Kilowattrel? And all that remains will be this Rhyperior. When it comes out, it is the Terra Ground Rhyperior. It can go for an Earthquake here. It did get poisoned by the Toxic Spikes, though. But it can go for Earthquake. It can go for Drill Run. If you want to risk Stone Edge, that's an 80% anchored move. I would just click Earthquake here if I'm in the Rhyperior's position. But you have to survive this Terra Ice, Terra Blast. Here it comes here, this Rhyperior with the Solid Rock ability. Will it survive?
No.
It doesn't!
Oh.
Rhyperior goes down! And with that, the Kilowattrel on the Palatown Paladins gets the final KO and wins this battle 1-0.
Oh man, I thought I might be able to live one.
Oh, how
Are you
much
still on
HP did
track,
you
Titan?
have? No, boots.
Yeah, I thought you were boots.
How much HP?
52 HP.
Like how much total did I have there at the end? I think I had like 250 something.
All right. What was your investment?
Oh, 52.
How much for the death?
204.
Looks like it could have been a roll.
I thought I might live one. Sorry, 108. 208 was my speed.
108.
Probably didn't live.
If you were at 250, you were at 65%.
Yeah.
I was doing anywhere from low 60s to mid 70s, so there were a few rolls you could live.
There were a couple of rolls.
56.3% chance to KO that Rhyperior right there.
Yeah, T-Shen's already in my DMs asking, was that a roll? Yes, T-Shen, it was a roll.
It looks like it was a roll in my favor, but not heavily.
Yeah. Oh, what a bummer. That was close. That was good. I was hoping that you would switch after the close combat into the Kilowattrel, but I knew you knew better, so I there was nothing I could do at that point. It really did just come down to that last play. That was a tight match.
It absolutely
I
was.
was-
I was so upset on that crit because even with the crit, it was a roll for you to kill, assuming you were max attack adamant.
Not max attack adamant, but I was +2 scope lens, so their crit was a high chance.
About 50-50 then.
Correct.
How much attack did you have?
140 adamant.
140 adamant, drill run. Terra ground. Okay, so not only did you get the crit, but there were only 3 rolls that killed on the crit. So you got the high roll. Because I was
All right, I
max
guess we call it even then.
because I was max nature.
Oh, of course. That's
Um
hilarious.
yeah, I
Wow.
regret
No,
I
that
reg-
was. Go for it.
I was gonna say, I regret sacking the Iron Treads. I'm like, okay, he's probably going to anticipate that I'm going to just go for the momentum move here, get some chip, and go into go into my flying mon. So he's probably going to click Stone Edge. Iron Treads is probably the safer play, so I can get a little bit more chip on it.
Would you believe me if I reverse psychologied that?
No, that makes sense. It's a mind game there because I was debating like, man, kill a Wattrel or not? Because
Mhm.
if I go kill a Wattrel, then I'm just going there, and I think I'm either just clicking Terra Blast because I figured at that range you were solid rock, based off the fact that you went Terra Ground, and so I was like, okay, I just need to get a little bit more. But I was upset because Flip Turn would have done a decent chunk as well, and then kept it alive for the potential healing wish late. But yeah,
Mhm.
no, as soon as I could get rid of the Terapagos, I'm like, okay, in theory, Kilowattrel should be able to just one-shot the remaining Mons.
Yeah. I just wait. One of us had to be. I was trying to bait you into an attack because I knew you were scarfed, and it had to not be U-turn. So I'm like, okay, the option he has right now is to chip down Terapagos, and then I rely on Rhyperior as my end game, because Enamorus would pick up the kill on Annihilate, but it was just wondering if you were going to switch Kilowattrel in on the play rough to kill Annihilate, and that would have been my win con, I think. Because if you did that, I would have had a chance to probably live something with Terapagos on the Kilowattrel again, and I probably could have gotten an Annihilate at some point. But that's not how it played out. You're better than that. You knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
But it was a great game. I wish I could have done more with Hydreigon. The flinch really was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I was debating between swapping in Florges or just going for attack, and one of my thought processes behind it was some of the main things that I brought that tread set for didn't come, and so I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily need this right now. I'm not worried about hazards getting up, and the one mon that would be impacted is boots, so I'm willing to stay in to try and get the flinch, and then if not, scout what kind of move you're clicking there, because depending on if I saw a physical attack, I would have gone into the Alola Mola, and if I would have saw a special attack, I'm going into the Florges, and I was really hoping to show off the Florges because I was dead set to not let Jirachi with its flinch hacks beat me, which is why I brought 2 Scarfers, and I brought
Yeah.
on
Why people? That's the second time I got double scarfed. So
it's
people are
Jirachi.
scared of my team. That's what that means.
Well, it was also based off the speed tiers. It worked really well for me. So the speed tiers helped made sure that I had almost the fastest mons guaranteed, but also this Florges was entirely set up to bait you to bring in Jirachi, and then the first thing I'm clicking when Florges is in is Trick Lagging Tail.
Yeah, being friends with JG, I see that set. I'm not worried when I get a lagging tail tricked onto me. We can pivot. We're fine.
Oh, it's purely just I'm not gonna let you flinch hacks me. That's entirely what
Oh
that
no, I
was.
understand. I totally get it. JG loves trick. JG loves lagging tail. JG loves trick toxic orb. So when we mock, he typically brings a mon with trick on it. So I would have been very aware of that as a possibility.
Makes sense, but it was a great great match all the way to the end. Your Hyperior were
Very
scary because
much.
it's like, man, it is bulky enough that I can't guarantee killing anything, so I had to pivot around and get a lot of chip, and
Yeah.
it was scary there at the end. But my end cons were always going to be the Kilowatt Troll or the Glamora, just because it's like if Tropicos goes down, a lot of your team does not like special attacks, and the ones that can take special attacks don't like my stab special attacks.
Yeah. I definitely knew Terra Ice was coming, and did Terra Ground anyways because look at that damage.
Yeah, 100%. I was expecting either Terra Ground or Terra Water. I'm like, all right, Terra Water. If I see Terra Water, then I know
It was
they're
literally
Lightning
Terra
Rod.
Water until Tisha talked me out of it.
Yeah, if I saw Terra Water, I knew, okay, they're Lightning Rod, or they're Lightning Rod instead of Solid Rock. And then I had Energy Ball on the Glamora just for that. And then if I saw Terra Ground, like, okay, then they're going to be offensive, and I need to expect Solid Rock.
Yeah, Terra Water is my other option, and it was a good set too. It worked. I just really liked this one.
It did big damage. I mean, without Terra Ground, even with the crit, you had no chance of killing the Lola Mola. So
Yeah,
then I get off
that's
flip
wild.
turn, get some chip, and then
I didn't expect to outspeed, and then I realized I had a lot of speed.
You added a lot of speed. I also put 0 IV speed into a Lola Mola and negative speed nature, just so that way I could do slow flip turns with Wish if I needed to.
Gotcha.
So I don't think there was anything on your team that a Lola Mola was going to outspeed, because my total speed was 121.
Gotcha.
Wait, why is it? That feels like that's high. What the heck? 0 IVs? Yeah, but
I mean, no, that seems reasonable.
But yeah, so my main thing was, okay, I can get potentially the trick onto the Florges and then onto the Drachi, and then Olomola was free to come in on the Jirachi all day, every day, and wouldn't have to be worried because it was Rocky Helmet. And so when Olomola went down, my entire thing was, I just need flip turn to connect. I'll regain almost all my health. I'll get you just enough chip that I can now bring in one of my mons to revenge it. And then when it went down, I'm like, shit. But it was a great match.
It really was.
It came down to the end, which is all you can ask for.
Hey, if I go the rest of the season and I have a losing record, but all of my losses are 1-0s, not a bad season for me.
Nah. Not at all. And it was a great showing that it really just came down to a roll at the end.
Yep.
Honestly, guys, because of that, you both got a point because of the 1-0 game, with Fin not only getting the extra point for the victory, but he also gets the head-to-head. And he actually moves into a 3-way tie for first place in the Violet Conference. Meanwhile, Joe, you are now a solid 4th place, and and then there's 2 guys that I think we'd rather forget about talking about, who are in tied for last.
But no, it was a great match all the way to the end. All right, who am I forgetting here? I'm trying to log the stats real quick. Okay, so Florges. Okay, Florges is the one I don't have. Florges died to your Nam. Right?
Was that Kilowattrel KO'd the Jirachi, the Enamorous, the Rhyperior?
I've got all my kills. I'm trying to get the last one for Joe, because I've got 2 kills. Rhyperior killing Treads and Alola Mola. And then I've got Enamorous killing Florges and Ape. So I'm missing who killed Glamora.
Terrapagos killed Glamora.
That's it. That's what I was missing. There we go. Yeah, there. Oh, yeah. Gold, Addy, and I are all sitting at 2-1 with 5 points. The difference is Addy has the head-to-head tiebreaker over Gold, and the differential tiebreaker over me. Gold has the differential tiebreaker over me, and I'm just sitting at neutral right now. So yeah, it's an interesting spot.
I find that a little interesting. That Gold wouldn't be ahead of you because he has a higher differential.
It's because of the way that the tiebreaker works that Gold has it in. So what the first thing that it goes to is head to head, and what it does is it combines all three of us head to head. So in head to head standings, Addy is 1-0, Gold is 0-1, and I'm 0-0. So based off of that, Addy is ahead of me because she's 1-0. I'm ahead of Gold because I don't have a loss, and Gold's last because he has a loss. And so that's why it's looking at it like that. Because head to head is before the differential, and even if we don't have a head to head, if there's a head-to-head imbalance amongst all three of us, I get put ahead. That's the same reason why earlier this week there was a three-way tie and Chicago Phalanx ended up towards the bottom because someone who was in the tiebreaker had a head-to-head with the win. It's all weird, but it'll shake out as we get further into the year.
This is very true, and again, it just shows that right now the Violet Conference, again, the fact that I have lost 3 matches and I'm still alive is saying something.
Oh yeah, lots of game left to be played.
Indeed.
And then, of course, now that week 3 is over, we get to move to week number 4. And gentlemen, I have the honor of saying this. It is conference versus conference this week.
I get to face Godbear.
We have the Palatine Paladins versus the Chicago Phalanx, the Atlanta Talonflames versus the San Diego Pachirisus, the Boston Regirogs versus the Virginia Victinis, the New York Empoleon versus the Canadian Ceruledges, the Venus Weedusaur versus the Roman Polians, and the London Shockwave versus the Atlanta Victory Stars. So off rip, if you guys had something to say to your week 4 Scarlet Conference opponent, what would you say to them?
Please, let's get all these matches scheduled as quick as possible.
All right, well, Fin, as the victor, before we get out of here, do you have any shout-outs you want to make to anybody?
No shout-outs, just a couple reminders that all the uploads are going to Twitch Battle League on YouTube. Every match should actually be up there except for this one, which will hopefully be up later today. We're also doing shorts and weekly recaps, so please continue to tune in. But that's essentially it for what we have going. But Joe, great match as always. Talon, I appreciate you hosting and always being available. But I think that's going to do it for us here, and we're good to go enjoy our Sundays, and hopefully for a lot of us, a long weekend with the holiday here in the States.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, we got the Daytona 500 in about 3 hours, and I don't know if you guys are NASCAR fans, but I can tell you I am not. But I will still watch it a little bit.
Well, Joe, I can only imagine your reaction during the Alomomola crit and it going down. Can we get a short of that on the YouTube channel? Somebody clip that in chat.
I mean, Finn's got the...
I'll have to go back and take a look, so I'll be able to download and go take a look and see what it was.
Beautiful. Awesome. Great battling with you, buddy. Always a pleasure.
Likewise.
Love playing you. You bring creative stuff, and you're a blast to play against.
Likewise, I have been dreading this week because I have been afraid of some of the different stuff you've got. Because you've got some scary stuff, but I'm just... When you were telling me last week about some of the potential ad drops you were doing, I was licking my lips hoping you would do that for our match, only because that would have thrown the speed tiers even more in my favor, and I'm like, do it.
Nah, I decided against it. I gotta go back to the drawing board on that. Either way, I get out of here. Talon, thanks again for hosting. Fin, thanks again for a great match. I'll talk to everybody soon.
Talk to you later, and we appreciate you all here at the TBL. So as you go throughout your day, whatever you do in life, just have fun with it. But we will see you start of next week for the Week 3 recap stream, and we appreciate you all. Have a good one and take care. See you later, everybody.